Hey everyone, we'll be starting today's session shortly. So while we wait for others to join, could you kindly confirm if I'm audible? You can type a yes in the chat box. Thanks, Arish. Thanks. Thank you for confirming. Just couple more minutes and we'll start today's session. Yeah. Good evening and welcome to today's webinar, The Power Shift, Why AI, Generative AI and Agentic AI are the future of leadership. So thank you everyone for joining us. We are very excited to have you all with us as we explore how artificial intelligence, GenAI, and agentic AI are transforming leadership in today's fast evolving business landscape. So, AI is actually no longer just a tool, right? It is reshaping how leaders make strategic decisions, drive innovation, and build future ready organizations. So, in this session, we will explore how AI powered leadership can unlock new opportunities, enhance decision making, and revolutionize industries worldwide. So, and to guide us through this fascinating topic, we have with us today our speaker, Sham Venkatesh. Sham serves as the Director of Architecture at FinTech organization and brings over 17 years of experience in this industry. As a seasoned technology leader, solution architect, and a data scientist, he has deep understanding of AI's evolving role in leadership and its transformative impact on businesses. So today, Sham will help us understand the critical skills required for leaders in an AI-driven world, and the opportunities that the AI presents, and the challenges we need to navigate. So he'll also be answering all your questions. So please feel free to ask as many questions as possible. So before we begin, a quick note on how this session will flow. To ensure the session moves smoothly, everyone, the attendees are in listen-only mode. You can send your questions via the chat or else the Q&A tab. And remember, today's session is just the beginning. If you're looking to deepen your knowledge and skills, we encourage you to explore our postgraduate program in artificial intelligence for leaders. This is a 5-month intensive course designed specially for business leaders like you. So without further ado, let's dive in. Over to you, Sham. Yeah.
Hey, Lakshana, thank you so much. So I just rolled up my sleeves when Lakshana said we'll be answering all your questions. So yes, we'll try to answer all your questions. So use the chat window, and I'll keep an eye on it and answer. So I'll be using a slide, a deck to walk through today's session. So I'll quickly start presenting my screen. Yeah. So just quickly confirm if I'm audible and if you're able to see my screen, please. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Right. So we're calling this a masterclass because, it's about 53 minutes that we have, and in that capsule size time, we are going to like pack a lot of concepts here, like, starting from basics like what is AI and then what is Gen AI, and we will go on to see agentic AI and what it means for leadership in particular, right? So the landscape is changing, like Lakshana was telling, and we as leaders have to lead with technology now, and technology being an enabler. AI is something everyone wants to adapt, and it's not just a fad. It's not like just want to. It's like it will become a survival, right? As we go forward. So what it means for you as leaders, right, could be is something that we want to cover, right? So yes, I'll try to keep my volume up. And if anybody is facing issues like that, please let me know, right? Great. So, to begin with, where AI began, right? Where it all started, right? So this evolution, is a technological evolution, right? So, we had, the technologies way back in 1700s. We came across the first industrial revolution, right? Where, we saw how we could use water power, we could use steam power, and generate some turbines could be run, and then it can move things around, right? So that was the first industrial revolution. And then we had in the 1780s, where production mass production became popular, right? The railway lines were being constructed, iron was being used to mold into different things, right? And then the whole thing about assembly line came into picture, and it also spread into the great American Revolution and also the Industrial Revolution in the UK, right? Where a factory model became the concept, where schools were close by, and schools were also kind of scheduled in a way that people could get out to work in the industry, right? And they were all given specific jobs, and it was a very traditional way of working, right? Industry 3.0, we took the concepts from the mass production, the assembly line, and try to implement that, and see if we can take value out of computers, right? And using electronics and communication. So Satya has been telling that my volume is very low. Is that the case, folks? Just, please tell me if my volume is all right. Okay. Okay. So Satya, maybe it's your side, just check, right? But I will try to be, I'll try to speak a little higher, right? So yes, and in the industry 4.0, we saw more, smaller systems, and something, the expectation was the machines has to be smaller but more compute intensive, right? More powerful, right? So and we also saw how computers can be put into a network, and the whole concept about small devices serving as IoTs, right? So that became the thing, but it was expensive, right? Whereas in 2020 and a little before that, right, where we what we call it as Industry 5.0, where we saw more cognitive systems coming into place. I mean, this was all theoretical, right? If you have graduated through some technology field, you would know that even way back in 2000, early 2000, we had cognitive systems as one of the goals, right? So it was all very theoretical, where computers are expected to have some kind of intelligence, but no one knew how, right? So it was, I mean, AI came way earlier, but nobody envisioned that we could be able to have machines do that, right? What happened was in 2020, the data was anonymous, right? So we had petabytes of data across business, and businesses wanted to drive value using this data, right? So and that's where the whole machine learning, how you can train machines using that data, right, came to picture. And that way the cognitive theory that we were kind of envisioned kind of took a practical form, right? So that's the whole evolution, right? But the point I want to say is not just call out the industrial revolution. The change that has happened so far, right, has been adopted by one and all, right? So it could be there could be an inertia, in the beginning, but eventually, inevitably, everyone adopted that, right? And that's how AI has been, right? It's been almost half a decade now. Or even more, right? And we have been seeing that there's more and more use case. We didn't stop with AI. There's Gen AI today. We didn't stop there. We are looking at agentic AI, right? So things are going on, like, and things are happening in pockets, but very soon there will be floodgates, right? So what is AI after all, right? So AI is a branch of science, right, where you can replicate human-like intelligence using computers, right? Now, if you if I'm forgetting the name of the mathematician, but yeah, Alan Turing, right? So yeah, Alan Turing, even during World War II, right? Even during that time, Alan Turing defined AI in his own way, right? So what Alan Turing said was, you have a computer and you put a screen and you're interacting with the computer, and when I say computer, it's a machine, right? So if the machine behaves just like a human, then you can call it as AI, right? And it's called, and this test is also coined as Turing test, right? Today, even OpenAI, when it launched ChatGPT 4.0, they did the Turing test, right? So they put the system through the test to call it as AI, right? So that's a very foundational, fundamental way of defining AI, but still very powerful. Right. And what this AI can do, they can understand natural language. They can understand the ethnical, nuances when it comes to speaking. They can understand gestures. They can understand emotions, right? And also they can recognize patterns. You give them huge data, they can crunch it and give you the patterns, right? And it can also make decisions. While it will not only give you indicative data, it can make the decision for you, right? It can say how much attrition are you going to expect, and what action you should take in your organization. It can say that what level of quality your manufacturing unit might have in the coming quarter, and what kind of remediations you can have, right? So those decisions it can make for you. It can learn from data, and it can also learn from historical experiences, right? And it can learn from itself. It's called self-learning, right? It's also reinforcement learning, as we call it, right? So there are various types of AI. What we have is artificial narrow intelligence, and sometimes also referred to as artificial natural intelligence, right? Now this is a very common form that we see today. They can do voice recognition. They can give you recommendations, like you might have seen in Netflix and Amazon's, where they recommend movies and items for you to buy, right? And also they can look at data. They can understand and predict numbers. They can also do classification, right? And at the same time, they can look at very complex data, right? So that's what we have today, very popular, and a lot of use cases have been put into production, and a lot of business are taking value from that, right? But that's not the end of it. Where we are right now is the artificial general intelligence, where AI can understand, learn, adapt, and it can also work across domains, right? So earlier we had an AI just for banking, and not even just banking. I'm just giving an example, right? There's a bank, a loan department. Loan department will have a different AI, and and let's say the HR department will have a different AI, right? If you are working in let's say what you can say, CRM kind of an industry, then the supply chain will have a different AI. The different departments can have a different AI, right? But today we have AI that will cut across domains, cut across different departments, right? And an example for that could be a chat GPT, right? What you find on the public domain, the chat GPT is trained on everything on the earth, right? So they have been trained with the entire web, they have been trained with the entire Wikipedia, they have been trained with more than 14 million books, right, of all genres. So they have cross-domain capabilities, and while it's theoretical, you can still derive a lot of value. And I can give you some use cases, like for example, today there are a lot of legal documents, right? Estate documents, wills, trust documents, right? And these are a lot of finer legal details are in written form, right? And you can interpret them in some way, and it can also be misinterpreted, right? And you have legal people, paralegal people who look into this, right? And they've paid huge fees just to understand what is in the estate document and things like that, right? And these runs hundreds of pages, right? 400, 500 pages. There'll be disclaimers. There will be something contradicting in, like 100, 200 pages later, right? So how do you like interpret that, right? Now there are GenAIs, there are large language models who are able to like summarize them, who are able to look at these contradictions, who can give you legal implications of some of these, right? And that's just one example, and there are millions of such examples, right? But what is more aspirational is ASI, the artificial super intelligence, right? And it's definitely very theoretical, very fascinating, but definitely that's on the cards. Right. I see that the chat window is very silent. Please post your questions, folks. And let me know if you have any questions. I do have my volume, fully high. So I hope I will be audible. Let me know otherwise. Right. So now let's see how this AI will impact you as leader. Right. So as I was saying, any new advancement in technology, the adaptation starts with some inertia, right? Like for example, invention of phone, right? And then came the smartphones, right? The smartphones were already in the market, but a lot of us, including me, we still had the traditional phone, and we had the inertia. Is that really worth? Is that being able to like swipe? Is that really worth it? And it took us a while to switch over to smartphone, right? And then it became a mainstream, right? Everyone, there is nothing like a what you can say, the QWERTY keypad phones, right? I don't think that's anymore available, right? So it's almost a normal way, right? So likewise, even AI, right? Everyone is catching on to it, right? And market is acquiring this space, right? And for skill development, right? So people who adapt, they can help company move in the right direction, especially for middle and higher management, right? So if you keep looking at emerging, because these are the people, these middle and higher management leadership, they are the people who keep looking at emerging trends, right? What are the emerging technologies, and they are responsible to hold on to the current customers, renewing existing customers, and it also pique their interest, right, in more newer solutions and capture broader market space, right? So for you leaders, you have to also identify, which talent is worth taking into your company, right? Whom to hire, how do you assess them, right? So for all these things, you need to know the AI. You need to know what it can do and where it can fail, right? You need to know that it's not gray anymore, right? It should be a black and white, right? It should be, you should be you, no one should take you for a ride, and no one should say, okay, I'll give you 100% accuracy, and that's not possible today with AI, right? So all these things, you need to be aware as leaders, right? So that's where, you know it becomes very important. And not only that, there's all these different values that AI adds, like increasing productivity, associate experience, making smart decisions, right, enhancing your customer experience, etc. Right. So that's AI, where it can do cognitive capabilities. But Gen AI is the kind of term we have been hearing, right? So what is it exactly, right? So GenAI is nothing but, where a machine is capable of generating new and realistic content, right? I mean, I say realistic, but many a times it could be very fictional, right? It could, you might you can go into, like for example, you can go into like ChatGPT and generate, like very fictional images, right? You can ask, create an image of a girl sitting on a couch, in the medieval time, and put in, kind of a medieval kind of a background, right? So, and it can do for you, and it can give you in different themes as well, right? So, and it can generate not just images but also text and audio, and how it's be able to do that, like AI, like ML, we are able to train them, right? So we've been able to train them with large amount of data, and that's why they are called large language model, right? And once you train them, they are able to, like, take the data, unlabeled data. When I say unlabeled, they don't have, let's say for example, the independent variable, right? Like for example, if I want to say, what are the factors that makes me easier to predict whether it will rain today, right? One is the temperature, looking at the sky, overcast, is it cloudy, looking at the humidity, looking at the wind, using these data, I can say whether or not it might rain today, right? So likewise, you need to give certain parameters, what we call as dependent variables, and then you also give a label data, which is an independent variable, right? And you can say, if you see an image that has a tail, a curved tail with whiskers, and then and then eye like this, and all these different colors, then it's probably a dog, right? If you see, the ears more pointy, then probably it's a cat, right? And things like that, right? So that you're giving the label to the model, right? But in case of Gen AI, it can take unlabeled data. You don't have to label them because it's trained. It can label itself. It can do all this unsupervised learning, and it can train itself, right? And what we call as self-supervised way, right? And the most popular example is ChatGPT, right? So here I'm mentioning GPT 3.5, but then you can, you can go to your OpenAI site and you can see all the more latest models there. I can show some of them. Like for example, uh, let's go to OpenAI. I just want to show you some of the models. Uh, if you go to, let's say, docs. Okay. So here you can see what are the models, right? So you can get started, you can play around. GPT 4.1 is their flagship right now, and then you can see all the different models. There are models where you can do cost optimized, way of doing. There are models which will give you real time processing. There are just models specific for like image generation, which includes DALI, right, which is the more popular uh, image generation models, right? So these are some of the foundational models, and if you go to Gartner's website, right, Gartner is the analytical research firm, and they claim that every week there are at least 3 to 4 foundational models that are coming into market, right? and and obviously the people who are building these foundational models are like accelerators. They are more AI driven companies, right? But we, as probably financial firms, or in your respective organizations, you may not be in the business of developing AI models. That's not where we want to be. But we want to be an AI adopter, right? We want to be, someone who can look at emerging technologies and tap that into improving our business. Right, so that's where we want to be, and we want to be what is called as like AI accelerators, sorry, AI implementers, right? Yeah, foundational models are large language models. It's very expensive to build them. The reason being that their training data is huge, right? It takes months of training, or sometimes up to a year of training all these data, right? And what are they trained on? They're trained on whole of the web, almost whole of the web, right? They're trained on all the Wikipedia pages, right? They're trained on more than a million ebooks, right? So all that, and when I say train, what happens is you take the data, you chunk them, you index them, you convert them into embeddings, right? Put them into like a vector kind of a database, right? And then you start building embeddings on that, right? And there'll be comprehensive model which will start giving you Q&A kind of thing, right? And there will be tagging models, there will be name entity relationship models. So many models which will use these embeddings and build training data, right? And once you have your training data, you package that into like for example ChatGPT 3.5, and you're able to like publish that as a subscription model, or as a SaaS model, right? So that's what a foundational model is. DALI is another great example where you can go and you can go into the SaaS version of DALI on the web, and you can ask to create a lot of images for you, right? Now, what it means for leaders, right? And we talked about AI, what it means for leaders. Now, Gen AI, what it means, right? One, Gen AI has its own business value, right? It'll help you uh, drive business strategy. It'll help you with your technology strategy. It will drive you with people, governance, and all that thing, right? But most importantly, right, and fundamentally, the even the leaders of the world, right? So they have been calling out how AI as a code for humanity, right? It can reshape the society. It can help the economy. It can help with your security, right? It and the scale and the speed of development is unprecedented at this point, right? There's also a global governance that's possible, right? So how we can have global standards, regulations, right? And that's all possible, and only possible only when leaders understand GenAI, right? So that's where the call for action here is to you leaders, is to be able to like have that enablement, have that enlightenment, right? So we can look at more overarching governance, right? And also um, there's also threats like cybersecurity, disinformation, deepfakes, right? Which we need to be kind of wary about. But at the same time, Gen AI has been used for tackling these kind of issues, right? Even when it comes to sustainability, right? So again, the call for action is to, like, be aware of what the trend is going towards. You should be familiar with, like, for example, Elicit, the Anthropic AI, the Claude, for example. You should be familiar with Notebook LM, the Google's offering, where you can hook your own data and you can start, getting knowledge. Sorry, it can use the knowledge from your own data sources, and you can derive like comprehension, summarization, paraphrasing. Everything can be done using that, right? So understanding these things are important for you leaders, so you can see how you can navigate your business strategy, and where and how you can apply these things. So that brings us to another interesting and emerging trend of AI agents, right? Now, what are AI agents, right? So I'll try to explain this with an example. Okay, let's say you want to type out an essay. Okay, you want to type out let's say you want to type out a blog. Okay, or a technological information that you want to share with the rest of your organization, right? Or it could be something about, let's say, best practices of doing something, or something about ethics, something about diversity or inclusion, right? You can take any topic for that matter. Now, to write this blog or an essay, what you need to do, right? First, you would need to do some web research, right? So you need to have all the underlying information handy, right? So you would do your web research, and then you would go on writing your first draft, right? And then you would review it. You would ask someone to edit it. You would ask someone to give you feedback, right? And then you would consider which part needs revision, or which part needs more research. So if it needs more research, you go back and do more research, or if something needs revision, you do the revision, and then you go back and do the review, right? And then you revise your draft. So basically it's a sequence of steps that you do, right? Now imagine this circular iterative process, if an AI model can do that, right? So you have a small AI model which will only do web research and give you like articles and summary of the articles to you, right, making it easier for you. You have an AI model which will give you the first draft, and you can look at it and ask the model or give some prompts and say, make it more conversational, or make it more like casual, or make it more formal, things like that, right? And then you can have an AI model which will only review it. It will review for the language, it will review for the tone, it will review for the indentation, right, enunciations and things like that, right? And then you have another AI model which will just do the revision, right? So whatever feedback it got from the review model, it will take that as an input, and it will do revision, right? And this can happen circularly, and you have an AI model doing that. And if at all needed, you can be the final human in the loop who will review the final outcome and publish it out to your organization, right? So this is what AI agents does, right? And this entire framework is called agentic AI, right? Which is kind of taking more steam now, right? So this is also, by the way, called agentic workflow, right? So you can set up a agentic workflow. Now a lot of these are more handled, and a lot of tooling is done. Like for example, I'll give another example, right? Let's say you want to like schedule, you want to basically let's say, um, you want to book an a health or a fitness training session, right? With a fitness trainer, right? So you can have an AI model which will look up the best trainers out there. You will have an AI model which will do scheduling, right, on your calendar. It will see which time in the day you are available, and which time in the day your fitness trainer is available, right? So it will you don't have to do these mundane activities anymore, right? So the AI model is doing that for you, right? So now this tooling is becoming very popular, right? So they call it's a very popular agentic pattern called tool usage agentic AI or tool usage AI agents, right? So that's the most popular right now. But very in pockets, and very soon we are approaching what is called as autonomous or a fully autonomous AI agents, right? Where you don't need to like intervene and everything is done by AI, right? So Vinay has a great question: is AI agent a subset of Gen AI, right? Now, AI agent need not be a Gen AI, even, right? It could be just a simple AI, right? Where you're using deep learning models, where you're using, for example, natural language processing, or you're using, something like a CNN model, right, for imaging. And it could be a Gen AI as well, because I was talking about the essay, right? When you have agents who are working on writing content for you, the one which does the research again may not be it might be a rudimentary Gen AI model, and the one which writes the draft will also be a Gen AI model, but the one which does the revision, right, it could be a classifier model. It need not be a Gen AI model, right? So yeah, it will be a combination of Gen AI and the other AI models. How is it different from Gen AI? Yeah, like I said, you can use Gen AI in AI agents, but it can be just a AI which uses some tools, which makes some decisioning on your behalf, right? It may not be generating content, right? Great, great. Thank you for the question. And others folks highly encourage you to put your questions. No question is stupid, right? No question is silly. We are all here to learn, so feel free to drop your questions. I'll be happy to answer them for you. Great. So we are talking about agentic AI. So there are, four common, patterns or characteristics emerging. We talked about autonomous, where almost zero human intervention, right? So everything your agentic AI is able to do that for you. The decision making, right? So where, what will be the best course of action, right? Should we call the tech support? Should we do a soft closure? Should we put it into the parking lot? When there are multiple course of actions possible, what is the best course of actions, right? And being able to like dynamically do that, right? So that makes it very powerful. What is the perception, right? Like given a certain environment, given certain conditions, right? This agents can gather the data, and based on the context, right, they can operate. Like for example, you are on a weekend, then it might be more it might be more intelligent enough not to be bothering you with some notifications, right? It might schedule the notification for a Monday, right? Or let's say it's some anomaly kind of thing where you're in a country where there is a war-like situation, right? So then it'll be more sensitive with the tone that it's giving, and it'll be more kind of empathetic, right? Learning, right? So it can learn from the past, it can learn from your feedback, right? So you can give feedback. You might have seen in Chat GPT, there's a way that you can give feedback. Very similarly, agentic AI framework, you can keep training the model with your feedback. So the importance of AI agents, obviously automation, right, and scalability. So Nabil asked, how is latency being handled, right? See, the real time experience might be difficult to provide, right, at this point, because it might have to do some processing. Like for example, web research, I'm sure you have to batch it, right? You have to batch sometime in the night, or sometime a few hours every day or something like that, right? So of course you cannot expect a real time experience, right? So today you can expect that it's conversational, right? It's interactive, You can like back and forth communicate with these agents. It could be chatbot, it could be UX based, it could be an event based system, right? But at this point, latency can be expected, Nabil, right? I don't see a system where it'll give you a sub-second or a sub-millisecond kind of a response, right? There will be some latencies, and also that's expected, right? And over time, when where we are talking more about quant computing and things like that, I feel there is some potential to make it more real time, right? Where you can handhold a customer or a person who is using it, instead of now, being a batched way of working, right? Um, yeah, I mean, reduce buffer time. Again, you will have to think through your use case and build an experience suitable for that, right? So maybe you can send out notifications via email whenever the processing is done, and they click on a link and then they take the next action, right? Or the summary or whatever generate the content that is generated from Agentic AI can be emailed out to you or notified to you by IM or something like that, right? So the experience needs to be thought through. The architecture has to be simplistic and also well thought through, given that this cannot be a real-time experience. But great question. Okay. Um, Yeah, it can be hard, but real-time systems, there might be use cases I may not be aware, but the kind of use cases I have seen, is mostly, offline, asynchronous kind of processing. I'll be happy if you come across any real-time use case, happy to like look into it and give my thoughts around it. Now, why are these important? I know we're talking about real-time decision making, and we just mentioned how difficult it can be to do real-time. Now, this real-time decision making is not for the entire workflow, right? So the workflow might be a more batch, more process intensive, right? Which happens over time, but there will be a point where the decisioning has to happen, and that can be real-time, right? Just the decisioning part, right? But whereas the rest of the workflow could be batch, right? It cannot be, not everything can be real time, right? And things like autonomous driving, right? But then for autonomous driving, you cannot rely on completely AI agents, right? So you will need a lot more real time processing, a lot more models that are very lightweight and fast, right? And things like that. Yeah, and that's why the like for example the algo trading and all is still very rudimentary at this point, right? So we haven't seen a very successful uh, you know, successful implementation, although there are some, right? But because it cannot be done real time, it takes some processing to happen behind the scenes. It cannot get the same impact as a real time process. Right? At the same time, adaptability, if you're already using ML, it's a proper ML use case. You can definitely think of AI agents, and with low cost, you can build workflows which can kind of transition you from a basic machine learning, classification, predictions to a more holistic workflow. Right. And you can also look at personalization, because depending on your systems, depending on, what kind of virtual assistants you might need, what kind of marketing you might need, right? So you can personalize the behavior and preferences based on that. Now, we saw agentic AI, what are AI agents, where is it used, where it can add value, but what it means for you leaders, right? So, I mean, these terms have been floating around, but like I said, it's just a piece of AI that does the task on behalf of the human, right? Otherwise, what would happen? A human would have been taking the action, and we'll have to keep an observation on what AI is, what outcome is the AI is delivering, right? Instead, now everything is done by this piece of AI, right? I'll again give another example, right? Let's say a person is trying to call a call center. You're trying to reach out to a call center, and more than 50% of the time, the calls that are coming is reset my password, right? Or I have lost my card, so block the current card and send me a new card, right? So typically these are the kind, and depending on what kind of call center it is, right? So in this case, the solutioning would be like, you'd obviously authenticate the user, whoever is calling. If they are able to claim their identity and validate their identity, then you would, probably reset the password and send it to them, or reset the password, send it to the manager, right? Or if the person has lost the card, you would block it, and then, you would send the card uh, post or a mail, and then you would ask them to like call back to again get the pin of the new card, right? Now all these was very manual. The call center associates were doing this, and this is 50% of the volumes, right? So imagine all these can be easily automated using agents AI, right? Now if you are a leader, if you are leading such a call center or an operations or a back office kind of thing, then obviously you will start thinking about how I can use agentic AI for my business need. Can I increase efficiency? Can we do enhanced decision making? Can we reduce cost, right? How do we scale this, right? This business, today my call center, I can only take 100 calls a day, right? Given the staffing that I have, right? Now, if I have to scale, maybe I can do something like this, right? So today, my operations or back office team can only close 25 tickets per day, right? So how can I make it 2,500, right? So that kind of scale I'm looking at, right? How do we continuously learn? Today, an associate leaves the company, onboarding is so painful, right? On onboarding and upskilling the new associate is very painful, right? So how about having an agentic AI which does a job of, let's say, a 2 year or 3 year experience, right? And then you can use that time to train and upskill your associates and be ready for scaling up your business, right? So that's where it can be very valuable. Now, what is this impact of AI in modern age, right? Now, I don't have to tell you this. I'm sure all of you are aware, uh, you know, how across the industry and across the domain, take any vertical for instance, right? So there is an application of AI you can use. You use AI on a daily basis. Your phones use it on a daily basis, right? Your traffic signals are using them. So I don't have to get into those details, but in your own respective business, right? If you are if there is an inertia, if your senior leadership is showing some area, then there is something stopping you, and there can be like market people who can disrupt this market, right? So to be ahead of the curve, to be ahead of the competition, right? So you need to um, uh, have good idea of where you can apply AI, how you can use it to reduce the cost and improve efficiency, right? Just pause here, see if there's any questions, folks. Chat has been silent for some time. Keep your questions coming. We have about 10 minutes to go, right? Now, you might be wondering, like, okay, we heard about AI, we heard about Gen AI, we heard you telling about agentic AI, but how do we, get into the nitty-gritties of it, right? How do we get a more structured learning, right? And this is of course a vast area of science, right? There are machine learning engineers, there are NLP engineers, there are prompt engineers, there are AI engineers, there are data scientists, right? Now all these roles, they come with pockets of skills, pockets of technology, right? Now you as leader, you cannot be an NLP leader, you cannot be an leader or an ML ops leader, right? So you should know everything at a 10,000 feet, and if you're interested in something maybe even deeper, right? So how do we how do you as leader, kind of learn this technology or skill more systematically, right? So the solution would be, and when I started looking into AI, I had a passion for it. I did a lot of self-learning, but then it's- the conviction, the commitment was a challenge. So I went on to enroll myself in the PGP program, right? And I did an intensive PGP program, and it was 5 years ago. And since then, I've applied the knowledge, within my organization in a lot of hobby projects, and I've been mentoring people, right? But for you as leaders, if you want to do systematically, there's a lot of content out there, right? So you can find a lot of content on YouTube. You can find books, very good books, right? You can index them. You can make a plan how you want to like start looking at it. But all these material can digress you, can put you off because they're so deep, right? So like for example, if you're just learning the most fundamental machine learning algorithm called linear regression, right? So you need to know what is differential calculus, you need to know polynomial algebra, you need to know area under the curve, you need to know statistics, right? You need to know probabilities, you need to know stochastic gradients, right? And what is a gradient? You need to know about calculus, right? So and you start doing this, you will lose the mainstream. You will get into a lot of you'll be getting under the hair, right? So the systematic way, there's nothing like that out there, but you will have to put a lot of effort, right? And what the program and Great Learning does is it'll help you do that structured learning, and I'll tell you how. And this institution, has been around for so long now. It's very reputed and very trustful. It has done millions of hours of learnings, right? It's partnered with so many, academic institutions, right? So this particular program for leaders, right, is a 5-month program where you start understanding AI through data, right? So that's like a base camp, right, where you understand what is data itself, right? So there is, the data can be nominal, data can be numerical, right? Categorical. So looking at data itself and what are some of the statistical summary you can derive out of data, right? And then we introduce you to what is AI and some visualizations using practical tools like Nine, right? And you'll build your AI project in the very first base camp, right? By the end of 2 weeks, you'll be building your AI project, right? Of course, this will be very, very fundamental, but you go on to build a foundation for supervised learning, right? Where you look at regression, classification, you look at practical case studies, right? And you will have industry experts like myself who are applying AI in the industry. It's not just academic, right? So how is this being applied in the industry? How is AI model being delivered to production? How we do versioning, right? What are some of the metrics that we need to capture? How do we do monitoring in production, right? So experts will come and tell you, not just academic. Of course, you have all this information in your academic content, but hearing it from an industry expert as to how it's being applied, right? So that makes a lot of difference, right? And then you go on to do unsupervised learning and neural networks, ensembles, right? Very, very, what you can say, powerful models, where one model can't do. What if you put together different ML models, right? Would that be a better model? Right, so that's what you learn in ensemble techniques, right? And then you have a 2 weeks dedicated for GenAI, where you look at what are prompts, what is prompt engineering, how hallucinations happen, what are the different errors, right? How do you build a GenAI strategy for your organization, right? How do you ensure data quality, etc., right? And how do you measure ROI, right? So very important. We might say, great, we are using now GenAI, but how do you measure that this is doing better than an associate would have done, right? So things like that. So like we have I have seen use cases where we have operations back office associates who are going through the data and They are deciding whether, let's say, the beneficiary has to get some money up, right? Simple use case. And these associates are not so heavily built, right? So I would rather continue doing an a manual way than building a very expensive Gen AI model for them, right? And let's say when something open source comes and it's very good, I might use my data and train them and try to automate some of the volumes, right? So that ROI measurement is very important for leaders, right? And what the bottom line of this entire program is experiential learning, right? So you have AI projects, you have capstone projects, which are in nowhere hello world projects, right? So these are industry grade projects, right? Where you will be solving industry level problems, right? We also have, demystifying ChatGPT and its applications, where it's a Gen AI application level, course, right? And who this program is for? It's for folks like yourself, for product managers, for business heads, delivery managers, account managers, you name it. If you are responsible for some decision making in your organization, then yes, you can think of uh, this program. And this program is proud to have faculty like Dr. Kumar and Dr. Abhinanda Sarkar. And if you go through the AI literature, you will definitely have come across these names. They are the greatest when it comes to teaching AI in academics. Now, the other bottom line this program brings you is, the real world experience by working on industry grade projects. So here you will be learning what are the steps involved in data exploration by hands-on, right? By doing it, you will have a data. You will have CSV files which has like 25 attributes, 30,000 records, million records, and things like that. So you will be doing data exploration, you will be building charts, you'll be doing univariate bivariate analysis, you'll be looking at scatter plots, right? And seeing, okay, this is positively correlated, this is negatively correlated, this is a more um, uh, you know more powerful attribute for building machine learning models and things like that. And what kind of algorithm is a good fit? How do you train, how do you test the model, right? uh, how do you get involved with your data science engineers, right? In discussions, how do you identify where your data science team in a process? How do you guide them, right? How do you explore ways of solving a problem with them, right? How do you hold execution of projects, post POC sign off? What do you do? Things like that, right? So that's all you experience by projects, right? Yeah, you will be learning standard AI algorithms. You would be doing logistic regressions. You would be doing, decision trees, random forests, and things like that, right? You will be building, deep learning models on NIME and other open source low code platforms, right? And another thing that I want to call out is you don't need any background in programming, right? So everything will be taught theoretically, and all the hands-on will be on low code platforms where you'll be dragging, dropping, you'll be configuring. You, like, for example, you want to do test rate split, right? So you will configure that you want a stratified split, you want a 80-20 split, how big your training set will be, how big your test sets will be, right? And everything will be configurable. You don't have to code them, right? Unlike your data science team, right? So that way you get the feel of it, at the same time not have to get into the nitty-gritties of coding, right? So you don't need any programming experience. Everything will come from scratch. As long as you are responsible for decision making your firm, you can safely enroll, and the program will take care of you, right? Here are some testimonials. I'll just pause this slide here. You can read through this. Some of the champions of the program who have graduated, and they have given their testimonials here. Right. Now, why enroll? Obviously, today's better than tomorrow, and yesterday was much better, right? So, how do we progress from here? You can contact us, and at the same time, we have Lakshana online. So, Lakshana, if you want to share any link or something, for folks to get in touch, that'll be great. And otherwise, you can take a screenshot of this slide here and get in touch with the program team. right? Yes, so you're going to talk about business in AI. You're going to talk about how you can adopt AI across organization. How do you bring the mindset shift? How do you talk to your C-suite leaders? How do you present to a board if you have an AI project? We talk about governance, ethics, security, biases and things like that across various courses, right? Not just one course, dedicated course, but we have dedicated course how you will manage AI projects and things like that. How you will, we start from how do you estimate whether or not is it a right project for AI, and if at all it is so, how do you like what are the different steps you can take, right? What's the life cycle of an AI project looking like? How do you estimate them and things like that? So it's all very sequential and structured, so where you can definitely benefit from. So I know we are at time, folks. That's what we had from a content standpoint. I hope you found this, session useful. I hope you can, look at this program and give due consideration and do enroll if you find it useful. We're happy to have you on board. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you. Have a good day. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. We're at time. Thank you so much.